Hi everybody, this is Paul Seifer with WiscoGolfAddict, and today we're going to be talking with a good friend of mine, Paul Mindel. Paul's a golf instructor and coach, and he's also the head instructor of the junior golf program at North Hills Country Club here in Menomonee Falls, which is where I send my own son, Charlie. Charlie's in his third year of junior golf here, absolutely loves it, and I love Paul's outlook on junior golf, and especially how parents can be better at coaching their kids and getting them to enjoy the game of golf and love it the way that we do. I hope you all find this incredibly valuable today. We're going to keep doing episodes like this in the future. Let us know too if there's stuff that you want to hear about and see, because I think there's so much value in this. I think it's the right thing to do to find ways for us to promote the good of the game, promoting our kids, loving the game that we do, and just the future of growing the game of golf. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Paul, tell us a little bit about your outlook on junior golf and ways that you think we can help improve parents to get their kids to really love golf and enjoy the game the way that we do.
Well, first of all, Paul, I'd like to thank you so much for hosting these. I'd also like to thank the membership here at North Hills. Both Paul and I have been here for many, many years, and we kind of think it's a really, really special place. I've been involved with the junior program here, I think going on now 14 years. My son Zachary started when he was, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years old, and now he's graduated from college, and he continues to play golf, and I think he really, really enjoys it quite a bit. And I think in the accounting world that he's in, he finds that golf provides some opportunities for him to meet new clients, and I think golf is this sport that we can really enjoy for a lifetime, but then also find a number of different opportunities that are out there to help us enjoy the game even more. He started as a caddy at Westmore Country Club, and I really, really enjoy going out and playing, and in some cases he and I might only play 3 holes, and by the way, I just beat him the other night, so he still owes me $5. So again, thank you, Paul, for hosting this. I'd like to just start out with a very brief introduction. Some of the topics that I'm going to talk about today, I wish had been addressed 50 years ago, but 50 years ago, golf was in a different spot, and there was a lot more freedom for young people to play golf. But today, with the soccer and all the other sports that are kind of occupying kids' times, they don't seem to have as much availability to get out and play golf. Earlier this year, as part of the junior program, I did a very, very rough survey of the juniors, and I asked each one of the kids, which is about 115 kids, I asked them, well, how many times did you get out and play this year other than junior golf? And I was surprised, disappointed, and frustrated with the number of times that the young person would say, well, I only played 3 times or 4 times. And if we can get children to get involved in the game earlier, they are going to be lifetime customers, lifetime golfers. I say this kind of proudly that my oldest client, Jackie, is 98 years old, and she still walks 9 holes. So I think it's really important that we have these kind of discussions to try and figure out ways to promote, encourage young people to play golf, because they are the future of golf. So Paul and I have a number of different questions that we've kind of talked about, and I think this format really works well, and Paul will ask the questions, and then I'll try and give my my best answers, and hopefully you can gather that I really enjoy teaching, and I look forward to this presentation.
Great. So Paul, what is AFF?
AFF, I think, is my cornerstone of my teaching for juniors. Certainly when a young person, and I'm talking about maybe children under the age of 10, when they come to take a lesson, yes, it's really important that they learn something, but AFF stands for Always Fun First. At age 7 or 8 or 9, you know, kids are hopefully they're out being kids, and they're not spending so much time on their electronic devices. So I think we as adults and instructors and coaches, we need to try and promote the idea that golf can be fun. So I have a class this evening that I'll be starting up with 8 or 9 junior players, and they will hear throughout all the classes that Paul believes in AFF, always fun first.
Love it. Speak to me about specialization at an early age. What do you think are some of the pros and cons of specialization?
Well, I think that the specialization at a young age is a very, very dangerous thing. And if you talk to the majority of, or if you listen to the majority of tour players, whether they are PGA Tour or LIV players, all these young men and women, they've been involved with other sports. And part of what we want to do today is try and promote this idea that we want to create the athlete first. So many young people, they're out there and they're being driven by their parents in so many cases to just go out and hit more balls and hit more balls and practice and practice and practice. At those young ages, that can create a host of injuries. And when a young person has an injury, they will be removed from the sport for a week or a month or whatever the case may be. So overuse injuries while the young bodies are developing is a very, very common thing, and it can lead to, severe issues later on in life. So I try and promote this idea that a good golfer should learn some very, very basic skills. So I try and encourage my adults who have the kids. I say, listen, I want your child to play as many different sports as possible. Any sport that involves a stick and a ball, whether that's ping pong or tennis. Some people might play pickleball. The idea of eye-hand coordination, playing baseball, teaching kids how to run. I know Paul and I will talk about another question a little bit later on. Something that I promote very, very heavily with my juniors is what's called FMS. FMS stands for Fundamental Movement Skills. Fundamental movement skills are things where you're running, you're skipping, you're jumping, you're walking backwards. Those are all activities where a young person begins to understand how their body moves. And if the only thing that we're doing is specializing in golf and moving in one direction all the time, that just creates an imbalance in their body. So I realize that at some point a young person has to begin to kind of eliminate some of the sports, but I would tell you that that's a decision that should probably happen at age 13 or 14. To have young people specializing in the sport at a young age makes no sense to me. Another really good sport that I encourage, and some of the players that I do teach had an extensive background in hockey. Hockey is a great sport, but this idea of early specialization, I think it's a bad idea, and I think the documentation will support that point.
And then, as far as golf goes, what other skills do you think should be focused on at an early age?
Well, one of the things that I think is really, really important and which will help a young boy or girl if they decide to play some tournament golf or high school golf or move on to college golf is the ability to hit the ball far. I know that there's two things at an early age: hit the ball far and hit the ball straight. Well, if we're trying to teach an 8-year-old how to hit it straight, that's a really big, big job. I don't know if their coordination is there yet, but the idea of hitting it far, and if you focus on far at a young age, when they reach maybe 12 or 13, depending upon their maturity level, then you can begin to say, okay, now we need to learn how to hit the ball straighter. But if I have a young person and they take just a gigantic swing and they hit the ball a long way, but it goes a little bit crooked, I'm gonna high five that young boy or girl and just say, do that again. You're gonna see a lot of young people and their feet are going all over the place. Well, I think in today's modern golf, if you look at Scotty Scheffler's feet or Justin Thomas's feet, their feet are going all over the place. So this idea of just saying, boy, you know, I'm going to try and square the club face up to hit the ball straight at a young age, I think that'll just backfire big time. So just hit that ball a long way. The other skill that I think is really important is just teaching young people around the greens about short game. And because the idea that we want to get that ball from off the green onto the green, close to the pin, so that maybe they can one putt or two putt or not three putt. Short game is so overlooked, and I think if we can make help young people feel comfortable around the green with different shots and different clubs, I think that will also bode well for them for the future.
Sure. What other skills do you think are important to learn through golf and through junior golf especially?
Well, I think that the whole idea of being creative. Quite often when I'm working with young people around the greens, they might say, well, you know, boy, I want to hit my pitching wedge. I'll say, you know what, let's try and hit your sand wedge, or vice versa. Because the best players in the world are extremely creative. And I think that creativity can carry through into other parts of their life. And I think while playing golf, to be able to be creative is a huge advantage. Golf also, it's about solving problems. You know, the simplest way that I can describe golf to anybody is golf is hit the ball from point A to point B in the fewest number of strokes. So if we hit our golf ball into the trees, which I do quite a bit, we got to find out ways to figure out, okay, how can I get the ball out from the trees back into the fairway? So there is a problem-solving mentality, and I think that using those parts of the brain can be very, very helpful for people in other aspects of their life. But if we develop those skills at a young age, I think they're going to help that young boy or girl later on in life. Developing a creative mindset, hitting different shots, and then problem solving, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and I think it's really important that kids, you know, begin to learn some skills with golf at an early age. But I think more important is they learn about the game and they learn about all the lessons and virtues that it can instill in them. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I have to say that I'm somewhat disappointed in myself in that with as long as I've been involved in the junior program here at North Hills, I don't feel like I put enough emphasis on encouraging the young people to learn and respect the game of golf. Now, going into this calendar year 2023, I decided I'm going to have a little different approach. And one of the things that I did this year, and I will continue to do going forward, is even though during our classes here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, yes, it is our job to teach the kids how to swing a golf club and how to hit a putt and how to hit a sand shot, I now am making the kids halfway into the lesson, they need to go out and pick up divots out on the driving range. And because otherwise in the past, and again, I fault myself for this, and I'm disappointed that I didn't do this earlier on, but we need to teach the kids how to do this, how to fix a ball mark on a green, how to shake hands before you play golf. Just be polite. How to shake hands after you play. Hey, it was nice playing golf with you. Let's try and treat people a little bit nicer, and I think that that's one of the things that golf can and should do. So I have made a real big effort this year to just say, you know what, as part of our teaching, we're going to teach you how to respect the golf course. We're going to teach you how to respect the people that you play with. This year, we tried, and I think we were pretty successful at it. We asked the kids on the golf course to pick up broken tees, because that is one of the things that just, it drives me crazy, the lack of respect that adults have for the golf course. They break a tee and they just throw it. Well, the reality is somebody has to pick up that tee. And so this year we had a big bucket of tees, and the kids throughout the course of the summer, they picked up tees, they put them in their pocket, they put them in their golf bag, and then they poured them into this big container in the pro shop. And I don't know, I would say we probably ended up with 500, 600, 700 broken tees, and it just makes the place look a little bit nicer. And why can't we do that? But I think in so many cases it's, if a person has never been taught that, trying to teach them that when they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s, that's a lost cause. But if we can teach them that 10 years old plus or minus, I think we got someone who's going to look out for the golf course a little bit better.
You know, I agree. It's incredibly important that, you know, we teach kids how to respect the game, respect the, you know, their competitors and people they're playing with, and just kind of promote a more fun and enjoyable environment. As far as the parents goes, what can we do as parents to instill a love of the game in our children?
Well, I think that the number one thing is we need to get young people out to play golf. My father was a very good golfer, and that's what we did during the summer. Between my brother and I, we went out and played golf with my dad. My mom could have cared less about golf. She didn't play at all, but I think that growing up, we as adults, we need to take the time, we as parents, we need to take the time to get kids out to play. I don't know of a single person who would say, boy, I'm going to go out and hit golf balls on the driving range for an hour and a half, and boy, that's fun. That is not fun. The idea of going out to play golf with your child, I think, is really, really what will close the loop on getting kids to enjoy the game. And I've tried to advocate for that, and I recognize that, you know, we as parents, we're all busy and we're all doing too many things, but, you know, I look back on our son, and I went to, I think one season, basketball season, I think it went to 72 basketball games that he played. He was playing on a high school team and a church team, 72 basketball games. And, you know, so we as the parents, we sit there and observe our child. There's nothing wrong with that, but I truly believe that kids want to participate with the parent. And our son, again, is 23 years old. He still tolerates me on the golf course, but I know that, you know, as kids get into high school and maybe college, they reach a point when, you know, they want to do things with their friends. But if we've instilled at a young age the love of the game, they will develop a social network of other people their age who will go out and play. So, and the window is very, very short for that, developing that love of the game. I think other sports maybe do a better job because they get kids playing. But I think the most important thing that kids can do, or parents can do, to help their kids love the game is just get them out to play. And I think the idea of parents having competitions or challenges with their kids, go out and have a putting game, go out and have a mom and son play against dad and daughter, have some team type competitions. life is really too short, and if we miss some of these opportunities later on in life, we're going to kind of say, geez, I didn't do that when I wish I could have. So is there any better place to have an activity than with your family out on a golf course? I don't know, you going out and shooting baskets with your son, I guess that's kind of fun, but I think that the area on a golf course is simply the best place to be. So we need to just try and get kids out there to play golf.
All right, so there's a lot of great things we can do with our kids. What would you consider to be the biggest common mistakes that parents can make, though?
I know that this is probably going to anger some parents, but I'm okay with that because I see it so often. Parents, believe me, I understand. Parents have good intentions. They want to help. But they get so emotional. I've seen parents on the golf course when their son or daughter is competing, and I've seen it in the basketball high school gyms, and the parents, they lose their mind, and I think it becomes an embarrassment to their child. I know of a situation at a college level where a father and son, hard to believe, got in a physical altercation with one another on the golf course because the son was not playing up to the father's expectations. So I think that part about getting too emotional is really, really important. In one case, one of the high school coaches that was coaching another team against my son, he saw his parents kind of having emotional outbreaks on the golf course, and he walked up to him and said, "Hey, Mom and Dad, you got to calm down. Your son sees what you're doing. He might have missed a putt. Clearly, he wanted to make the putt. You wanted him to make the putt. But if he sees that your arms go up in the air and you put your head down, they see that stuff." So the advice that he gave these parents was, you know what, you just need to try and keep yourself calm. I think another thing that ends up happening is parents want to be their child's golf coach. I just think that is some of the worst advice. And you might say, well, yeah, but there are some tour players whose fathers coach their sons. I understand that. But those parents that are teaching their son or daughter probably have a lot of experience in the golf world, whether they're golf professionals or they've given golf lessons or that kind of thing. They have a lot of experience. But when I see parents who really have very, very limited skills themselves trying to help their son or daughter, it just makes it so hard. The amount of information that they're being given is overwhelming, and there's a lot of very, very, very good, competent golf instructors locally and nationally. You really, I believe, should leave the instruction to the coaches, and mom and dad's not trying to coach your own son or daughter. Just, there's a phrase in golf that the parents should say, I believe it's the right thing to say, quote, "I love watching you play." And that's all you need to say to your son or daughter. And one of the things that's really happening in golf, and it's very, very unfortunate, is a lot of young people are quitting the game of golf or leaving golf, and getting them back later on is a big, big, big chore. But a lot of kids, they don't like the ride home after they went out and played, they tried their best, and they had a bad day. And all of a sudden dad is barking at him about, "Hey, you missed that putt on number 13. Well, Dad, I tried. I didn't make it. I understand that. But the rehash of the round in the car, chances are the kid's in the car by himself, and the young person is just getting drilled by the parent, and kids will just say, enough, I just don't need this anymore. So if you're going to have a discussion with your child after a round of golf, I would say give it 24 hours. Just calm down and then have a discussion with them 24 hours later rather than in the car, because they will just dread the ride home. And that's very, very unfortunate. I think the other thing is parents apply way too much pressure to the child. There is a young girl that I know, I think she's 10 years old. Earlier this year, she said to me, Paul, could I ask you a question? I said, sure, go ahead. She said, my dad wants me to get a Division I golf scholarship at 10 years old. She said to me, what's Division I? Well, here's a young girl who, I'll just say, barely knows how to tie her own shoes, and now dad is pressuring her to get a Division I college scholarship. Well, the pressure that she's under is not healthy, and that can lead very, very easily to burnout. The kids are trying their best. Maybe another abbreviation that I use is BYB. Be your best. And that's all you can ask for. But when kids are getting all of this pressure applied to them, it is not healthy. And whether that's in golf or baseball or soccer or volleyball, it doesn't matter. Parents, just be parents, and you can encourage your children to play, but please try to avoid just grinding them into mush. And I've seen it many, many, many times. And some of these young people who were very, very talented now are no longer playing. I think they love the game, but other things got in the way, and now they're not playing. And hopefully we can get them back.
I enjoy hearing more about the common mistakes that can be made, how to instill love for the game. The other thing I've talked with you about before is just, after junior golf, have something that they're going to enjoy. So for example, every Tuesday after junior golf, I have lunch with Charlie. They have a buffet here at the clubhouse. He loves his brunch before going back to school every Tuesday. I think things like that are really important. The thing you always talk about is like bring your kid for ice cream afterwards. Whatever you can do to show that like a day of golf is a fun day. Because all we want them to do is have fun. It doesn't matter if they're good right now.
Paul, I agree 100%. The child might not remember the golf, but they'll remember that they got an ice cream sandwich after golf. And they associate the golf with something that was fun. Hey, I got to eat a slice of pizza with my dad after golf. That's good stuff, I think. Mm-hmm. So the other topic, Paul, that we do want to touch upon is equipment. And I think a lot of parents, in their effort to try and get their son or daughter clubs, they take adult clubs and then they have them cut down. Parents, I will tell you, that is probably the worst thing that you possibly can do, because when you take an adult club and you shorten it, you are making the golf shaft so rigid, stiff, that a young person, they can't make it work. It won't do a good job. And typically when a club gets shorter, unless the person really knows what they're doing when it comes to putting the grip on, the grip is never right. The lie of the club is off. And I realize that golf clubs, they are expensive. I understand that. But if you want to give your child a fighting chance, equipment is a really important piece of the puzzle. Now, there are 3 L's that we want to think about. Number 1 for a driver, number 1 L is loft. We want the ball to go up into the air. So if a young person, and I'll just give you some kind of rough numbers, a young person should have at least 12 degrees of loft on their driver. There are some junior clubs out there that have 13 and a half, 14 degrees of loft. So the first L is loft. The second L is lightweight. You know, these young people, they might weigh 50 or 60 or 70 pounds, and they don't have a lot of strength. They're not supposed to have a lot of strength at their age. So by giving them something that's lighter in weight, they can swing it faster. And if they can swing it faster, that goes back to hitting the ball further. So loft, lightweight. Any young person, speaking of maybe a 7, 8, 9-year-old, graphite shafts. Graphite shafts will make the clubs lighter. As they get physically stronger at age 13, 14, 15, depending upon their maturity, sure, then they can start to move into some heavier weight steel shafts, but lightweight at a young age. And then number 3, we've got the loft, the length, the length, or number 2 could be length. If the clubs, and I had a group lesson last night with some kids, and these are 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and here comes the young boy with his dad's clubs. Well, the driver was virtually taller than the boy. So what chance does he have? And then you can say, well, yeah, maybe I could grip down on it. Well, he grips down on it, and now the end of the golf club's hitting him in the stomach. Okay, so loft, lightweight, and length. And there's all kinds of different measuring tools to figure out what length club they should have, but we want them to hit the ball somewhat near the center of the face of the club. If the club is too long, if it's too heavy, they're just not going to do it. And then we're trying to instill love in the game, and now we're putting equipment in their hands that are just way, way, way off. So those 3 L's are really important. And again, I'd like to thank Paul at WiscoGolfAddict.com. Does a great job. He's passionate about the game of golf, and I greatly, greatly appreciate that. So as I wrap up, I'd like to just give parents a resource that's outside of what we've done today. I would tell you parents to go to myTPI.com. TPI stands for Titleist Performance Institute. They're based out in San Diego. I would tell you that they are the world's leader when it comes to golf research. They work with so many tour players. They work with so many good up-and-coming junior players. And if you go to myTPI.com, along the top you'll find a section that is called Improve My Game. If you click on Improve My Game, then you can scroll down and find articles. I believe the articles go back to 2012, and they're probably 5 or 6 articles are written per year, and many of the articles are written about juniors. And I think it's always a really, really good opportunity for parents and kids to learn outside of a lesson. So this resource it's fabulous, and I refer to it so often. I'm having my one of the articles posted up on my website because let's not try and reinvent the wheel. There's all kinds of people who have done the research, and I think that it's a great way to help people figure out what's the best way for them to help inspire their child to love this great game. Thanks again.